right side. Vincent Davis there, over the shoulder grab, and he's gone. Waving goodbye. BD speeds his way, middle of the field, and across the white goal line as he drops the football when he's in that maroon end zone. And Vincent Davis continues his remarkable season. It's his third touchdown reception of the year, and SIU blows it right back open. Play action, comes near side. Shook Walker nearly intercepted, and then it's deflected into the hands of Donnie Wingate. Donnie Wingate will get the interception. I believe Shook Walker was the first one to deflect it, and Donnie Wingate steps right in.
Inside Saluki Athletics, the official coaches show of Saluki Athletics. Now, here is the voice of the Salukis, Luke Martin.
Welcome everybody back for Inside Saluki Athletics. Another week with the head coach, Nick Hill. Victorious head coach Nick Hill following a great family weekend win against the Indiana State Sycamores. And now it's time to turn the attention to the number one team in the country this week in North Dakota State. Here to recap the win against the Sycamores, preview that game at the Bison. We're going to have head coach Nick Hill join us. Dan Clark's going to join us a little bit later on, as well as Derek Harden from that Saluki offensive line room that just had an outstanding year to this point. And Coach, there's many areas we could start with your team from that win against Indiana State. Just overall, just felt it was just a really good team performance in front of what was just a tremendous crowd Saturday at Saluki Stadium.
Yeah, it was a great crowd. Actually, watching those highlights right there, it would have been cool if Donnie would have picked up his feet, could have got a little pick six right there. The boys would have liked that. Yeah, but no, the atmosphere was great, and we got to continue that. You know, like when you talk about a program having expectation to win, then it's got to be, you know, the fans and the support. There's got to be an expectation of how that makes a difference. That's what I've said for a long time. I think when we go to NDSU, you know, for the past 15 seasons, there's a reason where the entire school believes in winning championships and how everything matters. We talk about that internally of our program, how everything matters from everybody feeling valued, from your filmers to your GAs to everything, you know, leads to winning. And so the crowd has such a huge impact on a championship program. So we'd love to see it be that way the rest of the season.
Well, and that's going to be, look, you know that your team has to take care of the business on the field, and to this point your team has done that. But as you said, the environment you're going into this weekend in Fargo, Brookings, of course, over the years has grown into a tremendous environment at Dana J. Dyke House. Yes, those teams are really good, and that's a big reason for it too. But, man, when you get in the postseason, you knew it when you were a player. When you were able to host at McAndrew, it's a huge difference because also the fans were behind you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm the first to – you got to win, you know,
Yeah.
and fans want to see a winning program. So then that means, like, everything matters. I mean, the winning part is probably at the top of that, doing our part to put a great product on the field, exciting players to watch, guys doing it the right way, ones that you know, when fans appreciate the effort and the tenacity, and when you can just watch. We talk about this all the time as a team, of just like when there's somebody just coming to watch, like maybe just a general football fan, you know, don't know much about X's and O's. You can tell when teams are playing hard, when they play together, just the sideline demeanor, you know, that's exciting to watch. And so we've got to continue to grow that. And but yes, I think, you know, it's all encompassing. So I hope that Saluki Stadium's, you know, filled up like that the rest of the year.
And you can also tell Coach Hill, again, yes, you have to do the things on the field well. And when you're winning, that no doubt impacts a ton of things. But you can truly sense with this group, even when there may be moments in a game that aren't going well, there is still that genuine care for one another and that excitement level when whoever's making a play, even though guys want to be out on that field, maybe even specifically in that position group, they're still happy for their team. You see that time and time again with your team when you watch your sideline demeanor throughout the whole game.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do. You know, it's not a natural thing. You know, we're all human, right? So you could be on the sideline wishing you were in there, but that's still your your teammate, you're excited for him. You might not be excited the situation that you're in, but you're still excited for those guys. And that all comes down to accepting your role. Might not be happy with your role. There's probably a lot of people out there listening might not be, happy or wish that their role was different in their job or whatever, but you still have to show up in that role and do your part. And so when you can try to get 105 guys, to buy into that, then you can have that leads to winning. It's just body language and everything, how you come into the building and just your general feel for yourself. And so, you got to work on that stuff just as much. That doesn't come naturally to people. And so it's something that you've got to do and talk about, and we talk about a lot, but it does make an effect on the game, because all games aren't going to be just smooth sailing. I mean, even the ones that you win, they're not going to. If you watch NDSU and ISU, they take a safety on their first play from scrimmage. So that's a negative play at Illinois State. They've got Illinois State's crowds probably into it, and then they we're down. But it's just consistently playing off each other, playing good team football, and it's about getting in that locker room with a win.
When you think of your team, and look, there's many areas I think to start with, but what was so impressive to me and what has been impressive during my time with you and our tenure together has been even last year. Granted, there were a lot of injuries going throughout the year, but your expectation as a staff and how you communicate your guys was, look, it is that next man up philosophy, because at some point in time, you still got to go out there and play. No one's going to feel sorry for you. I think that's what has set you well up, even for like this past weekend. Coleon Smith, who had an outstanding year, goes down. Blaine Halley comes in, outstanding job filling in for him. Think of your linebackers. You basically don't have Andrew Boehm for the majority of the game. Just insert Ben Fiegel in there. And then, of course, Shug Walker got great run. I mean, how important it is for you as the leader, Coach Hill, and I know I give you a ton of credit, and you do deserve a lot of credit, but of making sure just, that constant message that you always give of, hey, we all need to be ready at any given time, how important it is to make sure that message does get reinforced because of the physicality of the sport you play.
Well, I think, it's not all me. It's, you share that message, and then the position coaches, like when you're a position coach, even going back to that, if I was just the quarterback coach, like having pride and knowing that, man, the head coach or whatever the situation is, like, hey, he's ready to go, and he's going to operate because I've coached him up. And so you're coaching everybody in your room. And so, Coach Mack, we've talked about him, and, those guys are ready to go. He coaches the guys that are down there on scout team just as hard. I mean, the amount of individual meetings and getting guys prepared for the game, and so those guys feel prepared, feel like their position coach has them ready to go if they have to get in, the checks and the right fits and understanding the pressures. And it was really in that game, we played a lot without Bohannon. Had a little quad, came back in for a few reps, he's fine, but, because he would move to Mike linebacker too, so Fiegel, even throughout the week, so it was really when both of those guys were down, Ben, got 58 reps in the game.
And then just, continuing to build off guys like that, it's just so great to see them have success once they're out there. And then, again, you flip it over to just your offense. I mean, the quick starts we have touched on multiple times throughout the year. And as you say, Luke, there's going to be a time this year where you don't necessarily get off to a quick start. But, man, again, on Saturday, your guys were able to do it. Of just the mentality of, yes, you guys are playing from ahead, but it doesn't look like your offense at any point is really playing indicative of what the scoreboard reads, if you know what I'm saying. So you guys are playing your tempo and the way you want to play really at all times.
Yeah, and I think that, the time just as an offensive coach, like as soon as you start trying to, like in the third quarter, I mean, there's a lot of time left, right? So regardless of the score, I've been in those games where you're like, hey, let's just run it, and then it starts to get bogged down. It's really about just staying efficient, moving the ball, picking up first downs. And then, so that's why I say it's everybody. It's the players go make it happen. The coaching staff has to put together a great scheme and put their guys in position to go make plays. But that's a credit to those guys and coming prepared for the game, right, is that the one thing that more so than scoring points early, obviously that's every team in the country's goal is to just go down and get points, and we want that to continue, and that's the expectation, and we've proven to be able to do it. But it's more of like those guys are detailed in on what they're being asked to do, right? They're executing. They're coming out of from the walkthroughs in the morning, the walkthrough before pregame meal, and then showing up, and when that ball's kicked off, they're locked in. Substitutions, no pre-snap penalties, and then you give yourself a chance to go move the ball.
One of the things that stood out to me from Saturday too, Coach Hill, was especially in your running back room, felt bad for Shady after his carry because, man, I haven't seen him with that much burst quickly like in a while. Like, man, he looks really good right out of the gate. Of course, Eddie Robinson, even Lim Wash, I felt like on Saturday showed some burst where he's kind of been more of a short yardage back for you and your team this year. Chandler Chapman is a guy that everyone has felt really highly of. But in terms of that, the ability to have guys, I know you've always knew that you've had that ability within that room, but on Saturday it wasn't just DJ's burst that would show. It felt like everybody literally in that running back room was able to show it.
Yeah, really. This is a stat that you haven't found. I always say you and Tom come up with these, but I'd say Shady's last two runs, his last run at SEMO was a 40-something yarder, and then first play from scrimmage, after the bye week. And so I think when you're talking about running the football like that, running the football is a variety of ways, whether you're spreading them out or, old school, lining up with a bunch of tight ends and just, grinding people out. But creating space for those guys to have some burst and get to the second level. And when you can be balanced as far as like throwing at screens, your quarterback can run, then they have to be aware of everything, right? They just can't key in on, like, let's stop the run on this play. And so you got to have answers and try to keep people off balance.
Let's look towards North Dakota State this weekend. It's a program, regardless of who's been there. Tim Polasek now, of course, continuing on that tradition. He's been a coach there previously as well, knows the history of NDSU. No one needs an explanation of what that program has meant to the FCS level and how hard it is to go on the road in the Fargo Dome and try to win for the first time in our program history, Coach Hill. But within their team, just like every team, you see guys who have made major strides in their time. And I think Cole Payton, number one. I mean, their quarterback has had outstanding numbers this year. And you talk about players who have made huge jumps. I think maybe he may be the biggest one on their roster who's made a huge jump.
Yeah, and really just getting the opportunity. So you never – those guys have done a great job developing quarterbacks. I mean, they've got 4 guys in the NFL right now, which is probably top 1 or 2 or 3. I think Alabama has 4. It might be the most in all of
football,
college football, And so there's an expectation there. Those guys that kind of wait their turn, they see it done at a high level, pros doing it. And so, yeah, I'm sure that's why they didn't go out, get a transfer or anything like that. They knew they had the next one ready to go, and he's proven that. A lot of respect for him. Obviously, a quarterback guy. Just watching the tape, he's playing at a high level.
No, Illinois State spoke really highly of his speed as well after the game. All their players from knee camp, et cetera, like, man, we knew he was fast. We didn't necessarily expect him to be that fast. We know DJ's really quick too. But in terms of on film, I mean, is that stuff that's hard to gauge when you're just watching on film, that it's not one of those things till you're actually maybe on the sideline and you see a guy in person? Where same thing for DJ, where people can watch film of DJ, but you don't really get a feel for how quick he is until you're really going up against him.
Yeah, no, you can tell, but yeah, live on it's different in person. But yeah, he just especially in that Illinois State game, I thought some of the most impressive things were a lot of his runs were scrambles, and not necessarily like protection breakdown, but just getting outside the pocket, and then they just couldn't get him down. He outruns leverage, runs out of bounds, picks up 12, picks up 9. And then he had 2, really impressive when he hurdles the guy. It shows his athleticism. That was the heck of a play. And then just his playmaking ability, had a, really nice run where he pump fakes at the line of scrimmage. And that's where I think you probably saw his burst, is whenever he really got vertical, and he's a big guy. So yeah, it's two quarterbacks that are big and athletic going at it on Saturday.
Yeah, and probably I don't think there's any argument it's going to be the best quarterback matchup of the day in college football, and it's going to be really exciting to see it and watch it in person. But again, they are much more than just Cole Payton, just like you guys are much more than just DJ Williams on your team. I mean, Bryce Lance, another guy who's just been there, terrific talent as well at wide out. Offensively, they're always going to have a physical offensive line, physical tight ends. I'm sure just, even though some different names, just more of the same of what the Bison have had for years.
Yeah, I think, teams that have played them this year, it is. It's like whether it's a new coach or it's new players, it seems like it's just kind of swap their jerseys out. And that means they have a formula to win, what they're going to recruit to. They got pros that have played just about at every position, so they can point to, come here, this is the, size metrics, you remind me of him. And then they just keep repeating it. And that's credit to those guys. They've done an outstanding job. It's fun to go compete against that, put yourself up against the best. I know our team is excited about doing that. We understand we recruit to that ourselves here. Like, if you want to play in the best conference, not just one team, or maybe, some schools might have, well, we play this FBS school. It's like, the FBS school might not be the best team that we play all year, is like you're going to be challenged here if you're a guy that, wants that for themselves, challenge yourself week in and week out against the best, and this is the league to come to. And so our guys will be ready for that, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Grant Olson is a guy I've been around who's a tremendous man, and, of course, their defensive coordinator at NDSU. He was a great linebacker back in the day for the Bison, and you always know their defense seems – to always be strong right up the middle. When you look at Coach Olson's defensive group this year, where do you see maybe where they're somewhat different than maybe what they've been in the past, but still just the strengths of their defense and the biggest challenges that they are going to pose for you guys? It's been a really good offense, and it's been able to put up a lot of points this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's they do a great job. I mean, they have great coaches, so schematically they're going to know their personnel and put them in the right spots. So they have a variety of offense that they go to. I mean, I think sometimes people think of NDSU, maybe 10 years ago, they really just wore people out, and they still do. But, I mean, these quarterbacks are it's a pro-style offense, right? They're going to be in and out of different personnel groupings. You'll see them in empty, 2 tight ends, 1 tight end, 3 tight ends, motions, shifts, and it's detailed. That's what it is. I mean, from the protections to the whole thing. And then defensively, the same thing. Like they might be a little bit different year to year on what their strengths are. You see this show up. They also do a great job game planning. So, if you saw something against Illinois State, it might not show up against you as much just because they might be, hey, this was good against these guys. They do a great job of that. As a team more 2 back, as a 1 back, you're going to see that. So, there's just a consistency about the way that they go about their business, what type of defense they have, physical mindset, and really good players.
Got Dan Clark coming on here after you, who, of course, has been here for a while with you as O-line coach, and then Derek Harden to follow him. I don't know. There are a lot of – look, you have great stories on your football team throughout. It's hard to find one that is probably better than Derek Harden. And to see him have the year that he's having – I know you're the competitor in the moment and you're not really thinking of that as you're watching a game, but what has it meant to you to see a guy like Derek have the year that he's having after going through, tons of adversity within football, but that's not the adversity that is what's most impressive. It's what him and his family have been able to go through in his personal life.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And everybody recognizes it in the building. He's won our Be a Man award the last 2 years. He'll be a 3-time. I don't know if anybody in the program will ever do that again. And then just I can remember after last year, do you think he'll come back for his last year? He's had multiple injuries. Like you said, he's graduating. He's been through, and he loves to play football. Like I love there was a clip on Saturday where DJ ran that ball in down on the goal line. I think that was to the 2-minute. And and he had a heck of a pull, and he just kind of like lays on his back and like with it, like he was like making a snow angel almost. He didn't do that, but it was like, you know, it's fun to see him smiling. It's fun to see him just with that competitiveness. He's practiced extremely well. I said this in training camp, like I haven't seen Derek Harden play. This is the best that he's been on the field, and he's started a lot of games for us, so he's been really good. But it's just fun to see him really enjoying, you know, playing the game that he loves and knowing what he's been through. And I think he's just an incredible example for, you know, leaving a legacy here. The leadership, everybody will remember Derek Harden that's shared a locker room with him. You know, what it looks like, what it's supposed to look like, the maturity on and off the field. He's engaged. He started a support group on Thursday afternoons for the team that people can just come into the team room, players only, where he kind of leads it. And more so, like he wanted to start it. He came to us, and he spearheaded it. And it's like, you know, I want them to know, and hopefully it's something that continues after I leave, that like if you're going through something, he said he knew that he was going through a lot, needed people to talk to. So it could be a freshman. You come in there on Thursday afternoons, Derek's going to be in there. Like, let's just talk. And that's just incredible stuff.
It's incredible stuff, which really makes it. And look, what he's doing on the field is also really remarkable, but it's those that will shape lives, you know, for the rest of his teammates' lives. As you said, they're going to remember that for a long time. Coach, really appreciate the time. We'll get you on your way, and looking forward to making that flight to Fargo. It's going to be it's going to be what college football is all about on Saturday. It's going to be a great environment.
No, I appreciate it.
Once again, that was head coach Nick Hill. We're going to take a timeout. We got plenty more coming here on Inside Saluki Athletics.
It has been 35 days since the last time Saluki Nation has seen the Dogs at Saluki Stadium. Exciting sure hopes this season can turn out to be one of the best in Carbondale for a long time. And when you think of all the all-time greats in entertainment and music, if you are the best of the best, you are synonymous with a famous tour. And right now, the Saluki team is on their own tour right now, and they're calling it the Get Back Tour, where the Salukis are trying to seek that needed payback for a year of frustration. Williams, pressure's brought, Jay Jones in zone, makes the chest high grab, and he streaks across the O, and Salukis in white typing, and in that maroon end zone, Jay Jones and Southern Illinois make it 5 for 5 on the year with 5 opening drive touchdowns.
Great play by Southern's D.
Down as Patterson comes near side the domino, and it falls incomplete. In on the coverage is Jeremiah McClendon. Right. Williams sticks in the gut of Chapman, runs up the near right half, stays on his feet, 25, 20, makes a sycamore miss, below the numbers, 10, 5, touchdown, plows into the end zone. Team to Blair here at Saluki Stadium. Williams will rush up far, numbers 50, stays on his feet, he's to the 40, to far left, now he stands behind Williams, he'll push him through, and he's into the maroon end zone. That's the Saluki push there. It was 7 minutes on the clock in the first quarter. SIO getting some get back tonight on the trees. It's 20-0 Dogs. Here's Phelan's move. It's a fake. Quinn's got it going left. Quinn to the far numbers. He's got the first down and more. Above the far numbers. Snap is clean. Hold is down. Right leg kick by Phelan is up, and it is through. And Hall, design quarterback one, run. Williams to his left, near the goal line, plows into the end zone, and DJ Williams, his second rushing touchdown of the game. And Williams with 2 rushing touchdowns.
like this morning, like we talked about, man, just the opportunities, they come and they go pretty quickly, just in enjoying this feeling, man. Enjoy the feeling of just putting together a great week of work, right, and getting in here with your teammates and celebrating a win.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Family on me, family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right, now we finally got the special guest of the hour. Dan Clark, offensive line coach for the Salukis. Of course, he brings his own coffee in. Doesn't even bring me anything here during the show. You know, that's kind of the vibe you always bring.
I
Dan
don't
Clark.
see a coffee maker here. Luke.
No,
And so
I mean
that's
one
I
of the things
brought
I guess
my
we got to
own, and-
add. You know, I mean,
this place is.
it's got a lot.
changing.
It's got a lot in here. You know,
You do. You got a nice little home right here.
it's not as magical as your offensive line meeting space. You know, there's a lot of sweat in that room. There's a lot of memories that have been built in that room now.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have fallen on that carpet too that will be there forever. Too,
And I'm
you
sure
know?
some of that is Kristen's nice snacks
Yeah.
and among other things.
She feeds the boys still. You know?
Yes, and feeds you.
Yeah,
yes,
she does.
Yes.
I got to be careful. I might start looking like B Hard here pretty soon.
Coach Clark, congratulations on the start of the year to you and the team, and no doubt your position group too. And we were just talking about with Coach Hill. I mean, I think you and I and everyone could go on hours about the impact of Derek Harden. We were actually watching the highlights middle of the break, that play that Coach Hill was talking about. We just saw it of just, man, if you could just bottle up that man's energy. But for him, kind of the unknown of, man, don't know for sure if he'll be back. You knew when he said, hey, I'm coming back, I want to have another year. You probably knew what you were getting.
Yeah.
What's it meant to really see it now really come into fruition for you in your room?
Well, when a kid has so many setbacks, you know, he's been through, you know, you start going, well, maybe it's just time to move on, go to the next chapter. And when Derek said he's going to come back, and he had that look, you know, and I knew he would do whatever it took to come back, and he has, and above and beyond, and you see that energy he has. He's a motivator. He leads by example. He doesn't have to say much, you know, because you ain't pissing him off. All right?
Yes.
You better do your job. And you can see it in the classroom and in the room with the guys. And, you know, he's been around the block. And so, you know, he can give the look to a younger kid and going, hey, write it down. Take notes, you know, do what you're supposed to do. And so when you talk about standards and culture and it is, you know, it's the guys, you know, they have to believe it, do it, teach it, and they can't have a day off. They don't get to. Or the young freshman's going to look at, well, I can take a day off too then. No, and so it is really good to have him back, you know, it is.
You have so many guys up front that played college football for a long time, and a year ago, many of those guys had to miss significant time to see Aiden Logan out there for you every snap. I know Coleon missed this past week, but then Blaine Howley steps right in after he was really thrown into the fire last year. You could see a guy that was ready for that fire this past week against Indiana State. I mean, up and down the line, Noah Finsky, same thing. What it has meant to you to see all of those guys – Cam Dye, of the continuity that they've been able to build within your room, that chemistry piece, but then to find each of their strengths and know what each of their strengths are and playing together on one string.
It's what every O-line coach wants and strives for, and why we do this is to, you know, get every guy on the same page, get the leaders of the room, get the alpha dogs to you know, spread the message and the consistency and the work ethic and being able to do it every day. And that's it. You know, those guys have seen it and been through it, and now they're in the leadership role, and they've had some speed bumps they had to endure and fight back for, and that's, you know, just a hats off to the next guy that's got to be ready. You know, I mean, that's just kind of how this room is, you know, and so we got some guys that can, you know, step in if they need to, and so it's exciting to see.
Blaine Halley, what did you see from him being inserted in the lineup? And, again, he's someone who has played in a lot of football games for you. Just now there's been so many good guys in front of him. Of course, he was able to get out there and be able to earn the start for you on Saturday.
Yeah, it's too bad with CJ, and going down like he did. But, it's that next opportunity. It's the next guy. And Blaine had taken all the reps, in the spring when CJ was rehabbing from his MCL surgery. And so Blaine's a guy that he got to start last year. He got his second start this year, but has been playing in that backup role. And it's like a guy's time, when it's, you want him as old as you can get him. You want him to, be chiseled a little bit and, just a little bit older. But, he's ready. He works at it. He studies it. And so, it's good to see a young guy and his wide eyes, and he doesn't say much at all. He won't say much at all, but he is very in tune to, our scheme, and works at it extremely hard.
It's really hard for even someone like myself to explain it to our fans during the course of the game of how much Noah Finsky is constantly communicating and what all has to go through in terms of his responsibility throughout a game. One, because I'm not smart enough like you offensive linemen, to be able to know what everything that goes into it. But in all seriousness, try to help our fans and just football fans in general of how much is on Noah's plate, and then the fact that he is also performing his best in his college career with all those expectations that come with being the center.
We ask a lot of our centers. I imagine every program is very similar. When you call a play, to execute that play, it needs a beginning. It needs an ID, and to get everybody on the same page, going the same way. And that's run, that's pass, it's everything. And Noah has, you talk about guys that the leadership and knowing what everybody's supposed to do. Playing tackle last year, moving to center this year is obviously helped him tremendously, and just evolving into, that leadership and taking it to a spot that has to have it. That spot has to have it. He has to make quick decisions. Things change. Things may not be seen that we're planning for, and it's a one word that gets four of the other guys on the same page. And so it may sound simple and just talking about it, but what he does for our offensive line and helps to have those veterans inside and buffered him. And he said that a lot about Aiden and Derek. And it is. You can see the leadership. You can see the maturity. You can see the guys that just they're doing it play after play.
I had to do some security on you before you came in because I was kind of scared that maybe Noah Finsky would run in here and put a jersey over the top of me or a sweaty helmet as well. That's why we had to extend this interview out a little bit from practice, because being around your team, you just never know what's going to happen, Dan Clark.
He's probably out that door waiting for you right now.
Yes. Now, he did tell me I think he's got class during this time, so that's why, D. Hard is going to be coming on the show, but that would also, wouldn't surprise me if he tells a little fib every now and then, I don't know where they could get it from. You are never that way at practice.
No, I keep it lively, Luke. I do. You got to have fun in this game.
Oh, absolutely.
You do. You do.
And you got to have fun in your group because, everyone knows that, hey, to be a lineman, there's not going to be a ton of publicity. There's not going to be a ton of the light shining on you and everyone knowing what you do. If you don't have fun doing the nitty-gritty, then one, you're not going to have fun in this sport in general, but you're definitely not going to have fun in the position that you play.
That's right. You got to earn it. You got to earn, that when we're working, we're working. But when you're off and, hey, let's enjoy this thing. Let's help the young kids. All that stuff those guys do when they're, when they're not taking a rep, when they're getting a drink of water. The stories and the things they talk about is pretty special. Things they'll never forget. Those are they may forget the Indiana State game. They won't, but they're not going to forget the funny stories and the jerseys over your head. They'll never forget that.
Or I can only imagine the Dan Clark stories that those guys will have. I don't know if there's enough money that I can offer up for them to really spill the beans on you.
Oh,
Coach
yeah, there
Clark.
is. Yeah, there is. Don't say that. They'll go right to
I'm sure right now that
jugular.
I'm going to be getting tons of text messages during the show here being like, oh, if you don't think there's
I
a
got
price,
one.
yeah, just ask.
Well, just make sure you got the beat button ready. And you might have to have an R-rated show here pretty soon.
Yes, we'll see what we can do from that standpoint. But look, what was also good, and look, that doesn't happen very often, where especially in a Missouri Valley Football Conference game, where you can even get some of your reserves into the game and have some series working there up front. How big it was for you guys to just, there's a lot of names that we can mention. For me, great to see a guy like Tyrese Reed get out there, who's, of course, made that position switch to you on the offensive line. Just a lot of names that our fans may not know right now and heard for the first time late in that game, but just like maybe it was for Blaine Halley a year ago, at some point those guys are going to be massive impacts for you.
Valuable reps when you go into development and, game speed and communication, that you want your guys to all be on the same page, and those are, valuable reps for our guys, and it's fun to see. Kind of disappointed we turned the ball over a couple times. We probably, have a chance to get them more reps, and so, those reps become big, and in evaluations and development and getting them guys where they need to be.
Heard you had a surprise this past weekend. Someone in the family made a surprise trip to see you at Saluki Stadium.
Yeah, little brother decided to show up for pregame meal and just walk in.
That's awesome.
And so he likes to do that. I gave him a hard time. The Hawkeyes were off, and he's into his high school coaching now, and he's into his I think it's his third year of coaching now, and so he's got the bug. He loves it. Doesn't want to do college or anything like that.
Yeah.
That he goes, we're crazy.
He sees how you look, right?
He sees the gray hair coming in quickly. No, but it was, love my brother.
Well, and I'm sure really cool for him, too, to see Jace, obviously, your son, who's the holder for the Saluki football team and does a lot of different things as well. Just that family connection. I know, obviously, it meant a lot to Jace, too, to see his uncle there. He was telling me, I was like, I was going through and man, what's that voice? Just sees him over there sitting with you guys.
Yeah, and then you turn around and you see how he's, I'll throw him under the bus here, how he just can get to the sideline.
Yeah,
he can just kind of, walk through security, and I go, who do you think you are? I mean,
he's a guy's guy.
Jeez,
that's who Dallas
just,
Clark is, Dan
yeah,
Clark. You can maybe take a few notes from that from time to time.
He's got that.
Just a little bit.
He's got it.
Hey, before I let you go, just look, around FCS football, there's no introduction that's needed for North Dakota State. I mean, they've earned that. They've earned that right for the national championships they have won. They are the defending champions. Hasn't mattered really who their head coach has been. Has just continued down the line. When you look at their defense, because that's what you mostly look at, obviously being the O-line coach, just what this team really resembles, and knowing that, hey, you guys have been tested this year. You've played good teams this year, but this is the standard, and I'm sure you guys are really looking forward to that opportunity on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a big respect factor, that you have to have for them and what their program has done, and year in and year out, and new staff and new head coach, new face. But the product it's a freaking train still going down the tracks, and so it's exciting. It's a challenge, and they have that, that factor that you get in the Fargo Dome, and you go, oh my gosh, and the noise, and they do a great job at home, and so you got to battle the environment just as much as the 11 guys on the field too, and so our guys are ready. It's exciting. They're, it's like Coach Hill says, you can't treat that one like a different game. You better prepare every game like this one. And
even though everyone knows it's a tremendous measuring stick, it is just one game in your season. So whatever the result is on Saturday, there is no season made, and there's definitely not a season lost. I mean, it is just another chapter, and what's many more chapters for you guys to come on the season.
You're exactly right. It's going to tell a lot about both teams. I mean, it's whatever coach said. I think it was 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Offense is going at it. And we gotta do our part. We gotta go up there and do our job and go execute.
It feels really good for you to say you're absolutely right. I don't hear that come out of your mouth very often.
I say that?
I'm gonna have Ben McLaughlin, I think, play that back for us for a moment.
Can we rewind and start that sentence?
That doesn't happen very often.
No,
but
no, it doesn't.
you know how much I appreciate you, Coach Clark. Appreciate you coming on the show as well, and really excited for Saturday. It's going to be a great opportunity for you and the team, and it's always a tremendous environment in the Fargo Dome, and like I said, it's going to be a great college football Saturday.
It'll be exciting, man. I appreciate what you do for the Salukis, Luke. You and your team are fantastic, first class.
Even Mike Trud? He's watching.
Second class. But he's trying. He tries.
For Dan Clark, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Derek Harden, Big D Harden, is going to join us here in studio. This is Inside Saluki Athletics.
Hi, my name is Dior Noor. I play for SIU women's soccer team, and I'm a forward. I'm from London, southwest London, or Wimbledon specifically, and for me it was a lot diversity in culture, because there's so many different communities, and I feel like I've got a good mix of all of them. My Year 2 teacher at my primary school, she kind of put the ball in my hands because she saw me playing around in the playground with the boys, and we would race up and down the playground, and I would be one of the fastest girls, or I would beat them. And she introduced me into a sports club, a multi-sports club, free of charge, and I started playing football from there. And I always could see, I guess, the potential in myself. I always believed in myself that I could make it one day. Just a belief in myself that I can continue improving and continue getting better each day. I play for myself and for my mum, to hope to give her a better future. And I play for the people who have always believed in me and believed in the potential that I have. I want to prove them right. Wearing the SIU jersey means honouring the badge. I want to just give it my 100%. Every match, every training session, I just want to help the program build. I define success as like this really good feeling inside my stomach, just like the little wins. I never thought I would be able to come to a school like this. Meeting Coach Orr through one of my old teammates was like absolutely strangest occurrence ever. Like, I never knew I could be here today. When I leave SIU, my hopes is to become a better footballer, and probably I want to be able to play at a professional level. I have the opportunity to play at a professional level. I want to be able to come out with a degree and to be able to have something I can fall back on in case football doesn't work out.
Welcome back inside the Wells Production Studio. We had Dan Clark stop by, Coach Nick Hill already stopped by. Now one of the big stars for Saluki Football, Derek Harden, takes time to join us here on the show inside the studio. D Hard, man, good to see you, brother.
Hey, good to see you. How you doing?
Hey, you know what? Your voice just sounds amazing in that mic. You know, like I think we need the Derek Harden show on a weekly basis, man.
Hey, we got to get it going, man.
We got to get it going.
Yes, sir.
You know, get you a sponsorship in here. You know, we'll get it rolling.
Yes, sir.
We'll get rolling for a D Hart. Man, what a year it's been for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Offensively. What has been the biggest reason you feel like, Derek, you guys have clicked so well? Because, man, the numbers and the stats definitely back that up.
I'll say, first of all, as the offensive line, we really clicked together. We put in a lot of work during the offseason, and it's definitely starting to show week to week, week in and week out. So I would just say really just all the hard work that we put in through the off season. You know, we're listening to the coaches, doing whatever that they're telling us to do. They're putting us in the right place and they're leading us in the right direction. So it's really just the leadership, following the coaches, having a tight bond with each other, and it's definitely been doing wonders.
We've seen that smile from you so much this year,
Yes, sir.
Derek. And Coach Hill talked about earlier in the show, that clip that we showed of you pushing the pile, DJ right behind you, and just your celebration on the turf after you realize, man, he's finally in the end zone. Like, you have been able to show that time and time again this year. There's many reasons, I'm sure, for it and for that joy. What do you feel like when you're out there on that field right now? Because it just seems like, man, you are just – you are able to be yourself and just play at an extremely high level.
Yes, sir. It's definitely exciting, and it's really just gratefulness, thanking God that I am able to step on that field, because not every time you step on the field, nothing is guaranteed. Just like, you know, earlier last week, we were in practice. It was a bye week, and CJ he got hurt, so nothing is guaranteed. Not the next hour, not the next day. It's not guaranteed. So it's definitely gratefulness.
I really encourage our fans that if they haven't read your story, Tom Weber did a really great write-up on you. It was a 2-part story for Strong Dogs, and it's awesome. If our fans haven't read it, they really need to take time to read it to learn more about your story. And look, we could talk about that story and we would be here for the next 8-10 hours because it's really tremendous, D-Hard. But of just when you were deciding to want to come back, because you didn't have to, and again, Coach Clark and Coach Hill have said that time and time again. Was it an easy decision for you, or was it something that you had to even think about for a long time?
Definitely easy decision. I couldn't leave football like that. Only playing 2 games and leaving with a 4-8 season, I couldn't go out like that. And really, just after my dad passed, like that's something that somebody got to play for. So I couldn't leave football like that.
I can remember vividly, you know, during fall camp last year when you were trying to get back to be healthy. And I would see you with the sweatshirt up.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be trying to run around the field and be like, "Hey, D-Hard, how you doing?" And I could always tell you were just there was a lot that you were going through and trying to push through.
Yeah.
Can you even equate the differences of how you feel today sitting here talking to me to where you were just from a mental, physical space in August of last year?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely a lot better this year, mentally and physically. You know, last year I was way overweight. Mentally, I was dealing with going back and forth from home, not being able to play, not being 100%, and seeing my dad just, you know, everything that he was going through, the brain tumor and you know, him, you know, around that time, that was when he ended up losing, like, a little bit of his conscience. Like, he barely knew his own address. It'd be times, you know, I'll come home, he doesn't even recognize that his son is home. So last year I was definitely going through a lot. But now I'm feeling a lot better. I'm not dealing with a lot of those things that I was dealing with last year. You know, even though my dad passed, like, it's definitely a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I just know that he's smiling. He's looking down, smiling. He's cheering me on from heaven. So yeah,
no question, D-Hard. You know, I've been very fortunate that I've not had to suffer through a loss like you have had to suffer through from a personal standpoint. I've had some friends who have had to go through that, so I know. But and I bring that up because I hear from them, and I'm very curious from you because you know our interviews and what we try to do, it reaches a lot of people. And there may be someone that's listening to you today that is also in a very tough spot. Yeah. How, as you go through really in your day-to-day now, like how often do you feel your dad with you and how it gives you a lot of comfort and ability to be able to do what you do now of just – whether even if it's just small things, Derek, of each and every day you try to remind yourself of, yep, like I can feel his presence with me on a daily basis. I
mean, really, I carry him with anything that I do, so it's every day that I feel him. Like Yeah. It's really just every day that I can feel his presence, and I think that's what really wakes me up in the morning, that I can wake up and carry on his legacy. So,
What's the best thing that you love to do to honor him on the field with how you play? Like what's the one thing when you think of when your dad would talk about football with you, like what's one thing you've tried to be like, all right, Dad, that's for you, man. I know it's everything that you do, but like what specifically do you really take pride in that makes you think of him?
Really just driving people back and putting guys in the ground. That's definitely something that gave him joy. That like you said, that's something that we would talk about after games. Is like, oh man, I seen when you put that guy in the ground and drove him back 10 yards. So yeah, yeah.
Hey, it helps too, Derek. You have a tremendous support system here.
Yes, sir.
And from your teammates to Coach Clark, obviously Coach Hill, what do you believe separates, even though this is really the support system that you know, but what's made it such a great support system? Like what about those individuals, those people, let alone coaches and your team, just people, what about them and how they've really been just such a huge part for you in your time here?
Yeah, Coach Clark, that's definitely one of my biggest supporters. Ever since he first got here, he spoke life into me. He said, "You're gonna be great. You're gonna be good. Like even if it wasn't with football, like you'll be good." Coach Hill, he hasn't given up on me. You know, most coaches, you know, I've like when I first got here, I was hurt, and then like I wasn't here most of the time. I was dealing with my own stuff, and he supported me 100% throughout everything that I was going through. And you know, Noah, and you know the guys that were here before, Chase, Jake, Abdul, they were there, and they were texting me every day. Even when I wasn't here, they didn't look at me any different. They were just still treating me like I was one of their brothers.
Look, you're a guy, same thing when I go out to practice. I mean, I need to get out of D-Hard's way because I don't want to get in his way. That's a big guy that can run me over very easily. And, man, with your strength, you could shove me out of the way pretty easily.
Yes,
but
sir.
What's so great about you is you really are a teddy bear too. Just somebody that you can walk up to, you greet with a smile, very gracious with your time.
Yes, sir.
And Coach Hill pointed out too where you've really done so much for your teammates behind the scenes of just, hey, I'm here for you. Like whenever you need, like if you need someone to talk to, whatever, we can meet at these specific times. Like I want to do that for you. I'm sure a lot of it is the story and the background that we've already hinted at multiple times and talked about, Derek. But it's another thing. Like, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to show your actions and continue to do it. Why has that been important for you to continue to do those things and be there for your teammates like that in that way?
Because you know I got to look at what I went through. I gotta carry that on. I gotta carry that on. I went through a lot, and you know, a lot of my teammates probably, or a lot of my older teammates probably didn't understand that what I was going through. That you know, when I was going home, I would see my dad, and he had cuts. Cuts all in his head, and a lot of stuff that a lot of people shouldn't see, like especially their loved ones. So you know, I took it upon myself to say, you know, I want to start a support group for these guys. You know, in order to play, you got to be good physically and mentally. So, you know, that's something that I'm a stickler on is mental health. So I wanted to make sure these guys were good mentally. Just, you know, every Thursday come in, whatever it is that whatever is on your heart, whatever is on your mind, whether it's good or bad, just, you know, come talk. Just let it go. It's for me, it was hard to play with a lot of stuff that was going on my mind, and I had to let that go. So this is that outlet for those guys to come and just let it go. Whatever it is, if you got to shed tears, whatever it is.
And you can tell, Derek, that I think there's a big reason why this team is really close.
Yes, sir.
And it's people like you that lead it, man. That's just it's a tremendous tip of the cap to you. Let's end on football here. I was looking up today with Mike Trude. I was like, man, who was on the roster the last time SIU beat North Dakota State in that spring season? And you were on the roster.
Yes, sir.
Jay Jones was on the roster.
Yes,
Peyton
sir.
Reeves was on the roster.
Yes,
and I
sir.
think Peyton was the only one that actually got into the game at some point in terms of participation. But you know, and you've been a part of SIU of beating North Dakota State. I know it's not been done yet in terms of going up there to beat them, 0-8 all time. But you've been here when you have been able to beat them when they've been the number one team in the country. The mindset that team had that day here in Carbondale to go and do it, granted it was in the spring, but what you're trying to do, I mean, you guys, I don't think it really matters who necessarily the opponent is with how you guys work each and every week, but what you like about this team to have those characteristics of being able to say, hey, we're ready to play, man, and we're ready for the ultimate test.
Yes, sir. You know, we keep the same mindset, the same preparation, the same details, week in, week out, whether we're playing Indiana State, UT Martin, or North Dakota State. So everything is the same. We just got to go up there and do what we do best, and that's put points on the board. And we got to go up there with a great mindset, and we gotta go do it. We gotta go do
What
our
do you
job.
believe is the key to that, Derek? I mean, you just talked about, man, how important mental health is, right? And I know a lot of that is what you do in terms of how you take care of yourself throughout the week. But in terms of just, hey, like, we got to be in the right frame of mind. I mean, how much do you try to lead that throughout the week on that field with this offensive group?
Really with just my preparation. Everything, every day, every time I'm coming in, I'm locked in. I'm making sure I'm taking the right step. I'm making sure all five of us were on the same page. We got to make sure we go in there with great detail and we do our job.
How fun has it been when you are just getting tremendous pushback up front on the offensive line and you just see DJ Williams run by you in a blink of an eye and see what him, VD, I mean, there are a lot of guys this year that have had tremendous plays, but and I know so much of the attention goes to DJ, and in a way it should, but man, like when you just think of all the weapons you guys have offensively, I mean, how fun is it to block for those dudes, man?
It's amazing, especially usually. I mean, it's usually, you know, we go on those long drives and you're tired, so it's definitely good to get those 2 or 3 play drives, and then you can just, you know, jog off the field and, you know, you're feeling good. So yeah, it is definitely good to block for those guys and have all those weapons, even the twos. We know. Those guys, KT and Jackson, those guys, they'll hop in and they'll make something happen.
No question. Really deep running back room, tight end room as well. I mean, there is talent everywhere on this football team.
Sir.
We'll end it on this note, Derek, before I let you go, and we really appreciate the time.
Yes, sir.
Is not every team in the country really gets the chance to go up against the number one team in the country. But when you're in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, it's like you're going to see a massive ranked number next to the team every week you go and play. And even for Indiana State last weekend, even though they didn't have the number next to their name, it's in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. You guys treat everybody with that same level of respect. But as a competitor, I'm sure if you were thinking about coming back, even if it wasn't a great year, that if you knew you weren't going up against teams like that on a regular basis, maybe that drive to come back isn't the same, but you know you are going up against the best of the best, what it means to play in this league week in, week out for you, and how that's also a big reason why you wanted to come back, because you knew the competition is second to none.
Yeah. We we're the SEC of the FCS, so week in, week out, there's no slacks. No matter who it is, no matter the record, no matter anything. I remember 2 years ago we played 1-5 South Dakota, went up there and we lost. So week in, week out, you got to bring your stuff. You gotta bring your lunch pail, and everything, every day, every weekend, every Saturday, it's got to be locked in.
D Hart, I think our fans already knew, but especially after hearing you talk and seeing our different interviews and everything about you, we are so happy for you and so thankful to have you back.
Thank you.
You're a huge part of the program. I think there's no question you are a huge heart of this program as well. I'm excited for you on Saturday, man. It's going to be a fun Saturday there in Fargo.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Once again, that was Derek Harden Jr. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we are going to be joined by Sam Sambursky, the head coach of Saluki Women's Golf. This is Inside Saluki Athletics. Welcome everybody back to Inside Saluki Athletics. We are live here on this Tuesday inside the Wells Production Studio here on the campus of SIU. It's time to talk some Saluki Women's Golf. And the name Sambursky, no doubt, has been known here for a long time. And it's so great to have Samantha Sam now join the program as the head coach, coming back as she's now in the midst of her first season. Sam, thanks so much for taking time to come on the show, Coach. It's good to see you.
Yes, it's good to be here. It's good to be in Saluki Maroon again after a little hiatus there. So
Look, you talk about this program in so many ways, from your own family to you personally.
Yeah.
Saluki's in your blood now.
It is.
How special was it when you kind of knew that this opportunity was going to be yours?
Yeah. Whenever we started having those discussions, I called my husband. It was a little bit caught off guard, and I was like, "Man, what do you think?" He was like, "Oh, how can you not?" And so I love coaching, but even more than that, I love SIU. Obviously, it's a place that I played at. My husband played at. Like we've made our home in Southern Illinois for the last 20-some years. So this place is a lot more to me than just a place that I attended school and played golf at. So it's a passion of mine. My first week on the job, I was able to do, a campus tour for a recruit, and it was very natural for me to talk highly of this place because I love it.
And you also not just talk highly because you just love it, but there is proof in the pudding, for a lack of a better phrase, that women's golf can be successful here.
Absolutely.
And your personal journey is a part of it. How much was that the pull of, hey, to get Saluki women's golf to the standard that you know that it can be at?
Sure. Yeah. No, that was a huge part of it. I am a very competitive woman, and sometimes it's hard to find an outlet for that. And so coaching allows me to do that. I loved, as a player, I loved the process of getting better. I loved kind of the buy-in. And I tell my kids this, I tell my team the process. I didn't create how to get better at really anything, but especially golf. But if you commit to it, it does happen. Sometimes success isn't always linear, but you will get better, and you will improve, and you will develop. So I love that aspect of it.
The path is different for everyone when they ultimately become a coach. Some think from the very beginning that they know it's going to be their path. Some don't. For you, what was the path when you're like, I think I want to coach golf?
Yeah, it was really cool. So I was an assistant coach for several years right out of college, and went to grad school and got into sports psychology in grad school, and kind of really at that point in time, I loved it. I kind of it didn't even feel like school. I was enjoying reading about it and stuff like that and learning about it. And so I did that, and then golf is just in my blood. My dad's a retired PGA golf pro. So then I went into be a club professional and teaching pro for several years. I'm a mom to 4 kids, so I have a period of time where I was just home raising kids, and loved those years as well. And so as they started to get older, I started to kind of feel this all right, what's next for me? And so I had the opportunity to start coaching a couple years ago, and just almost immediately loved it. Fell right back in love with it, and just was able. I think it's a cool story. I have 2 daughters. I coach young women to your life is long, Lord willing, and that the opportunities are there. Again, it's whether it's golf or anything else, trust the process, and always be making yourself better, making working on yourself and making yourself better, so that whenever the opportunity does arise, you're ready to take it.
When you think of your strengths, Sam, as a coach, what do you believe are your greatest strengths?
Sure. I'm resilient, so I can handle adversity. I've been faced a lot in our personal life with our children, but just in a lot of areas of life, and with age, you'll face things, and you just realize with experience that that like whatever's going on right now, like you can handle, you're going to handle it, and you're going to move on, to the next problem and kind of figure that out. And so, so that's kind of how I'm attacking coaching the program. So where we're at right now, we've got a lot of work to do, but I passionately believe in the power of yet. And so, so we're not quite where I want to be yet, but we're working on it, and we're getting better, and we're kind of, and so I really want to model that for my players, as like through example with myself, but also just like teach them, skills and how to like be resilient on the golf course. If you ever play golf, even within any given round, even the best round that you play, there will be moments where things kind of feel like it's starting to fall apart. And so how do you pull it back together and get back on track? So
when you look at this program currently, and really more of the players that you currently have, what have you done to, one, build that relationship with them, and two, what really you communicate to them is, hey, this is what I want to see here in year one from all of you?
Right. You actually kind of said it in the question almost. My very first meeting with them, we went over kind of my philosophy, and I told them I will over communicate, especially in the beginning, because there has been some turnover in coaching, and so I wanted to make sure that I was doing my part of communicating my expectations and my philosophies, and so that we could start that buy-in process. And I spent the first month just really focusing. I'd walk with players and one-on-one sometimes, and talk through golf strategies and stuff like that, but also just building that relationship with them. In any coaching situation, it is ultimately built on trust, and so especially on the golf course though, in like a slow-paced game where they have to trust me that I know their game well enough, and that takes time too. So I've getting to know their game and find out where the areas. We did just a ton of skill assessments in combines and stuff like that at practices, so I could understand their game better, but also like just talking through those strategies.
One of the things that has always stood out to me, Sam, is even though this is the first time that we've had to have a conversation, I've always heard so much of not just about your family, but the community in Southern Illinois, how they've rallied behind your family when you've needed it. When you and Joel, of course, two synonymous people with Saluki Athletics, but when you go and you meet with prospective student athletes, I mean, knowing that you've seen firsthand what Southern Illinois can do for your own family, I mean, how much is that really a part of your pitch to future athletes of, look, like, we're not just saying it, it's not just lip service, like our own family is living proof of what SIU can do for you and the community behind Southern Illinois.
Yeah, I usually start with that. Honestly, I kind of tell my story about how I got here, the experience that I had as a student athlete that I'm trying to emulate again, and create some of that culture, as well as just the way that Southern Illinois means more to me than just a place that you're going to stop. I hope ultimately your student athletes, after they graduate and go on, they're your best recruiters, so I want them to leave here and be like, man, we worked hard. It was a grind at times, but I love that place. I love my time there. And I want to get back to that place. I want to tell people about that place and stuff like that. And so that was our experience as student athletes. A lot of people invested in us that make us who we are today. And so now it's cool that I get to be on the other side and get to be one of those people that gets to invest in the student athletes, so that they can go on with their lives and build some characteristics back in their late teens and early 20s that they can carry with them forever. So.
Look, I know you get so busy in the fall with your own team, and it's time when you're a coach, you can be in your own silos. But of course, obviously, your husband, Joel, and Nick are always tied at the hip because of just what they've done for Saluki Football as players. To now see Saluki Football have the success that it has had with Nick as the coach, how neat is that for someone who is obviously right there with your husband, Joel, of two people that are synonymous with Saluki Football?
Sure, yeah, no, it's exciting. I have always rooted for the Salukis at every point in my life, and so it's really cool to see the success. I love my husband and his teammates and Coach Kill and that story of turning that program around. If you weren't around in those days, it's kind of hard to imagine that where we're at now, And so so I love that it started way back then, and has built to the program to where it is today. So it's exciting.
We don't, the press box we get the broadcast from now is not the press box that Joel had to do through when he was sidelined with Mike Reese for many, many years. Eventually they got to reap those benefits, but
absolutely,
no question, a lot of fun. Well, as you just look for the rest of the fall, how kind of is the rest of your fall structured? And then the spring is ultimately the time where you get prepared for the championship tournament.
Sure, so we head to Arkansas State this weekend, and then our last tournament is at Kansas State. And so they both have really competitive fields. And so we've really been honing in on, after kind of part of this process of taking over a program was the first month was assessment, and we've had 2 tournaments under our belt. So now I'm assessing kind of stats and what are the areas that we got to improve on, and how can I help develop them and make them better players. And so what it's boiled down to is short games. So we spent a ton of time on the practice screen and 100 yards and in, and so we're making progress. So I focus a lot in on, okay, where are we at? Meet them where they're at. Because that's the only place to meet them, and so meet them where they're at, and then just like keep working from there and kind of focusing on the long term and not getting too caught up in what's happening today, but knowing the steps it takes to get a little bit better every day so that we do peak, like you said, in spring, whenever it's our key season.
You do lead the women's program, but of course you work hand in hand with Coach Fetcho
Yeah.
as well, being the director of
Sure.
golf, and his team is off to a tremendous
Yeah.
start this fall. What can that do even for your team when they can see that the success there? Success may not necessarily be right there in the results for your team
Right.
currently, but look, it can be done, as we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely, it's been exciting. When we're following them, at school we live in an area where there's live scoring, so you can kind of track how everybody's doing, and so it's really exciting to see their success. They've gotten off to an awesome start, and kudos to Coach Fetcho for building that program over the last few years. So that's really cool. Our locker room out at Hickory Ridge is filled with the history of our success in women's athletics. So I think anytime you can give them a visual of like, hey, this has been done, it is being done, and it can be done, it gives them a pathway to see that forward.
This will be the first of many conversations. Coach Sambursky, thanks so much for stopping on by the studio, and no doubt wish you the best here in the fall, and then ultimately we'll get you back on in the spring.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Big thank you to Coach Sambursky for stopping on by. That does it for Inside Saluki Athletics today. Again, be sure to tune in this time next week. Saluki Nation, as always, go Dogs.